Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Paradisos, where if you change your thoughts, you can change the world. That is right. That is right. My name is Dennis. For those of you who don't know, who are joining us for the first time, and today I have a very special guest. I have a Adam Ravat, aka Mr. 100,000 a day. I mean, what a name. What a name. So let's jump right into it. Can you start by telling us a little bit about your background prior to your Amazon empire that you're building?
Essentially, I started my career doing capital markets and mergers and acquisitions on Wall Street as an attorney. It's quite a grind. We've been working 12, 14, 16 hours a day, sometimes more. Very few weekends off, and I did that for about 2 years until the point where I had read a book called The 4 Hour Work Week, and essentially showed me how to outsource everything. And using the principles in that book, I created a website based on my security camera and knowledge. So I had some background in security cameras. And I use the information from that book to identify sales that were happening on eBay. This is back in 2009, before even Amazon was big or anything like that. So I identified items that were being sold in China from people in China that were not being sold in the United States. And these were specific Chinese brands. So what I would do is I would approach the Chinese brand and say, hey, I'm in the US. I can be your sales and marketing arm for your company. Will you let me register your name.us? And, a couple of them said yes. And the one that took off was the security camera. So I also had a background in during high school, whenever I was making websites trying to, get that pay-per-click revenue. And I put all of that, on hold when I went to college and started my job. But all of this information was up there and it all came back, at that moment. So I would get with these Chinese companies, register their US domain, do the SEO to appear on the top results, and then sell their products, starting first on eBay, then on my own website, which would be the name of the company.us, and eventually when Amazon, the rise of Amazon came, then everything just totally changed. That's when things went exponential. When Amazon started taking over electronics, the online electronics sales, that's when things really started to skyrocket, and that happened right about towards the end of the second year of my law firm. So that's when I left the law firm. When I started the business, within 3 months of starting selling these security cameras online, I was earning double my salary at the law firm. But I didn't quit just yet, because I had gone to, my whole life, I'd worked so hard, studied so hard, went to law school, got this amazing job, it was I was like $160,000 a year salary job. And so I wasn't going to throw that all away just for some online business that I just created. Right. So I carried on with the law firm for another year, doing this business. I would come home at 10, 11, 12, and then I would do this business until 3. And it got to the point where, my wife was like, and I got married during that time, and my wife was like, this is not going to work. You need to choose one, and so the opportunity was obviously clear that I had to choose a business. So I ended up quitting the law firm, leaving New York, moving down here to Houston, Texas. And going with that, the e-commerce Amazon business full time. During my first year, we had about 700,000 revenue. The second year went to, and the third year, full time went to. And the way that we did that was that we got an exclusive contract with the Chinese company. So when we first started, I was with the third distributor of this camera in the United States. But over a 2-year period, there ended up being over 100 other distributors competing with me. And the way that I was able to defeat the competition was through coming up through the keywords on Google and on Amazon. So knowing how to work the keywords, and also the tech supports. So I was able to provide exclusive tech support to all my customers through the outsourcing method. So I had call center set up overseas, and I would help assist every customer on the telephone and set up these cameras. Now, back in 2010, 11, there wasn't any plug and play. If you wanted to set up security cameras, you had to do port forwarding. It was complicated, and so the technical support was very important at that time. So using that competitive advantage, when people would buy a camera from the same brand, but they'd buy it from another, they would end up calling me for tech support, because when they searched online, my website was coming up first. I was the official US, distributor. Even though I wasn't exclusive, I was still the one coming up first. So when they call me, I'd say, hey, I'd love to help you, but you didn't buy from me. If you just go ahead and buy a camera from me, and in the future carry on buying from me, then I will continue to provide support for you. And so over time, we ended up naturally taking like 70% of the market. And then when I went to the manufacturer, and I went to the manufacturer, and I basically negotiated an exclusive model. So I came up with a new housing design and said, I want to be the only one that can produce and sell this exclusive design. The internals were the same. It had a couple of features that were better, but the majority of the features were the same. The primary difference was the design, and that allowed me to basically create my own listing and have an exclusive model that I marketed as the best model, and that's what allowed my sales to skyrocket from about 3 million in that second year to about 24 million in the third. And then, from there on, the rest is history. We've just been constantly launching new brands. I'm running about 10 brands right now. Revenue continues to increase. That was my prior to trading. That was what I did prior to trading.
My goodness. So you said you left the corporate world to start this amazing, profitable Amazon business. Was it a scary decision for you?
Yes, it was. It was it was extremely. It wasn't not necessarily scary, but it had to be a calculated risk. In that, working to get to that job and that position was basically everything I had done up until that point in my life was, extremely dedicated to achieve that. So to throw that all away for a new business was difficult. That's why I carried on for 1 year. I actually worked at the law firm full time and ran this business on the side. And I actually had to call my parents down after the first few weeks and train my dad on how to take phone calls and my mom on how to do packages. And then that's when I started outsourcing, as well, the various functions. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a challenge. It was a bit scary to take that plunge.
So did you feel like you made it, quote unquote, when you became a millionaire?
When I first left the job, I think I had like $20,000 in my bank account because I, had kept putting the money back into buying more inventory. So it was, even when I became a millionaire on paper, it didn't really feel like that because I could constantly, it's a very capital intensive business. Like every dollar that you get, when you're doing Amazon, in the beginning, you don't have a lot of cash. It can be for many years because you want to grow. So every dollar you get, you buy more inventory. In terms of feeling like I made it, it's always the next level. Like, you get maybe 60% to your goal. Like when I finished law school, my goal was, I thought, okay, throughout my whole career, my whole life, my plan was to I would probably, calculating the salary of a partner, maybe it would go to like $20 million. Once I started this business, my goals, changed exponentially. So just making, the every time you get close to the goal gets set higher for me. So you never really have that feeling like I made it, now I can relax. If you have that mentality, it's game over.
Right.
You're either spiraling up or you're spiraling down. If you feel like you made it and now you can coast, it just doesn't work like that, and you can for a while. Like you can have sprints. Like I can do a sprint and work extremely hard for 6 to 8 months and then take it easy for 3 or 4 months, go to work late, go on vacation a lot. But I can't do that for a long time. Otherwise, the business will start to deteriorate.
Was there a point in time in your life where you sort of had to learn that the hard way, or you just always naturally been that, you can't sort of like stay still? I got to do something.
Yeah, no, I've my whole life, like from as long as I can remember, I was always, top of my class, getting, always had all A's. And when if I would get a B, I was a kid, I would cry. If I got a B, I would be in tears. And I would go to the teacher, be like, what did I do wrong? I was like the super nerd guy the whole time. And, this is just, a continuation of I have a bit of an obsessive compulsion in a way. And I've learned to use that to my benefit. I need things to be perfect. I need things to be exactly how they need to be in order for me to achieve my goals. And I'm sort of relentless in getting things done that need to be done.
I mean, absolutely agree. What is the difference between Amazon now than it was 5 years ago?
The difference between now and so 5 years ago, you could make money selling other people's brands. Now you cannot. Now that will get you banned from Amazon for the most part, because brands and manufacturers, the trend now is factory direct. Manufacturers themselves are getting on Amazon. And that's what's changed. 5 years ago, 5 years ago, I had a program. I had a whole team that we would just look for other brands to sell on Amazon. We spent all day long scouring Amazon, finding random brands, contacting them, saying, "Hey, we'd love to sell your product online. Blah blah blah. Here's the order for 1,000," and we could make money doing that all day long. Nowadays, nobody wants to sell to you to do that, and really, you don't want to do that either. You want to be selling your own brand, and that's what I learned the hard way. So my first until 2014, so from 2009 to 2014, I was primarily selling other people's brands. And my seismic shift happened, and that totally changed everything. That's when you get a level of security. If you're selling someone else's brand, one day they'll just be like, "Hey, now we're going to start selling on Amazon. We don't need you anymore." And that was basically the reason why I had to launch my own brands, because there's always the risk that at some point, maybe now or next year or 5 years, but at some point, the brand owner is going to realize that the game is on Amazon and that he doesn't need you anymore. And so that's why you have to be the brand.
I mean, absolutely. So you're also a sick trader, from what I've seen on the Trading Experts Instagram, putting up $50,000 to $100,000 days. When did you first start investing?
I first started investing in trading at the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017. So I'm doing this about 2.5 years. Yep, about 2.5 years.
So how much did you start with?
You mean starting capital?
Yeah.
My starting capital was approximately somewhere between $2 and $3 million.
Did you blow up like most new traders do?
No, I did not. But I was my first year, 2017. I was down a couple 100,000. So I think that's like some percentage, like 15%, something like that. But no, I did not blow up the account.
So how, being down, that much, 10%, even if it is only 10% for a $2 million starting capital account, how were you able to overcome that sort of agony of being down your first year?
Man, that was a disaster. That was a nightmare. It was a nightmare, man. I saw losing the first time you lose $100,000 in one day. You're like, what the heck is going on? How is this even possible? And the thing is, like, I went up in 2017. I had studied. The first book I read was Security Analysis and The Intelligent Investor. I was a value investor, and basically bought all these value stocks. Like, I think my first stock was Wells Fargo. And everything went well for the first 6 months or so, right? And things were going up slowly. Everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, I think it was June 2017, there was some type of minor correction in tech stocks or something happened. Mm-hmm. And I just lost so much so quickly. I just sold out, and I was like, now I need to figure out, what's going on. And that's when I went back to the books and really started studying. And it was around that time that I also discovered Trading Experts.
So I was just gonna get into trading experts like in the next two questions, but how did you grow your account to your first million? So how'd you make your first? How did you grow your first million on your account?
Well, so basically 2017, I was down maybe 10 or 15%. And then 2018, I was up 20%. And so basically from the middle of 2017, I essentially stopped trading for about 3 months and started studying. I took a whole bunch of courses. I signed up for Timothy Sykes, saw the Lamborghinis and the, everything on Instagram, was like, oh, that looks like fun. And I signed up for him, did like a whole bunch of his videos. He doesn't really have a course, he does a bunch of videos. I took a whole bunch of other courses, tens of thousands of dollars in courses. I did them all. And the best course was Trading Experts. Trading Experts was the one that really made sense. A lot of the other ones, like they wanted you to trade penny stocks and this and that. I just wasn't gonna do that. Trading Experts was the one where I could understand the companies that I was trading, and they were real companies. And this was the kind of trading that I wanted to do. And they had a very defined, and the more I researched and the more I read, Trading Experts is essentially an extension of the momentum trading of Jesse Livermore, Nicholas Darvas, O'Neill, Weinstein, Minervini. They're an extension. They're the next generation of momentum investors, and that's where it's at. That's the strategy that I have chosen. That's the strategy that has proven successful for over 100 years, and that's the strategy I'm sticking with. And you go through periods where the market's correcting and the strategy may not be working during those periods, and the key is during those periods is to not lose money, to maintain your capital. And what I believe to be the period about to be starting right about now in the last couple of weeks and going forward, where we're breaking out into new highs, and the risk on trade is coming back. This is the time when our strategy will shine. So this is what we've been waiting for. Like if you look at the S&P, it's been in a 1.5 year range basing out, and there has been volatility contraction. The declines are getting shorter, and so we're seeing a very nice pattern setting. And we're looking for the IWM from the catch up trade, and I think it's about to be game on here. I'm getting a very good feeling. I'm risk on now.
I mean, when Adam Ravat speaks, guys, I think you guys should listen. I think we should all listen to this man right here. Do you have a specific deadline for $1 million day on Amazon?
$1 million day. My goals have tend to be incremental. So, I have specific goals. So the thing about Amazon, it's like fishing, right? You want to have more poles out. You just want to get more and more poles. And it's kind of like trading, and in anything in life, it's always a numbers game. You have a strike rate, you have a percentage rate that you will be successful. And you know that if you try 10 times, you'll be successful X amount of times. And then when those X amount of times will pay for all the failures plus more. Amazon is no different. You have to release, if you think you're going to release one product and that's going to be it and you're going to be on your way, no, that's not how it's going to be. You're going to have to release 10 products. And maybe out of those 10 products, if you're just starting out, maybe 1 or 2 will be successful. But guess what? Those 1 or 2 will pay for 100 products, 100 new tries. And you just keep going like that. So my goal now is to get to the point where I can release 20 to 40 products per month, and get to the point where we can get to 100 million revenue a year. That's my current goal, to get to 100 million revenue a year on Amazon.
Awesome. So what about in the market? Do you have a specific deadline for $1 million day in the market?
No, neither that. I mean, my major goal in the market is to not lose money. Like the reason I started trading is because I had, a bunch of cash sitting around that was not doing much. So I thought, okay, well, I can either invest it in, I can study and learn and research real estate, which I have been doing, and I have, quite a few real estate investments as well. Or I could do the stock market and, really learn that. And so it's maintenance of capital is the number one priority. And my goal is to get an average of 20% annual returns continually. That is really the goal. Based on that, honestly, if you can get 20% returns, have been able to achieve that 20% annually. If you can do the math on that. If you start $3 million and you do 20% a year, you're going to be a billionaire in a couple decades. So that's my goal with trading. Just consistent, slow, steady, consistent, long-term, 50-year goal. 20-year goal. I haven't really set out trying to get specific in $1 million day. That would be nice. I'm sure it'll come one day. And so that's where I'm at.
So how long did it take you, while being in the market, to actually understand that slow and steady actually wins the race?
It was really since being mentored by Sheikh and Ben and trading experts, and really sitting in there and understanding. That was the first place I really learned how to trade and it finally become consistently profitable. Until I sat with those guys, read the shakedown, understood what they were doing, looking for those consolidations, looking for those breakouts, those inside day breakouts, setting the risk, risk management. Mm-hmm. And that was the point when I started to get consistently profitable. And it was from there that I went on to discover Livermore and Darvas, and continue to develop my method. So my method now is not strictly trading experts. It's really a combination of all those authors I mentioned, but it's very, very close. Like I just have some more specific criteria that I look for based on my studies.
But you feel like that trading experts is a great foundation to start with?
Absolutely. And it's the only chat room that I sit in. I don't sit in any other chat room besides trading experts.
Awesome. I've definitely heard.
And nobody, and there's only, I only know of one other guy that calls it out like Sheikh does. And that's why I'm there.
So what would you consider your best trade today, till this day?
Oh man. If I look at my trade sheet, I have like 600 trades here. I mean, I think in terms of a stock, Amazon has been my most profitable stock. It just seems to, it's the most forgiving. When it consolidates, goes. I'd say Amazon, and I've traded Amazon dozens of times over the past 2.5 years.
So what have you learned the most about trading, such a successful stock?
So really to focus on earnings growth and essentially the trend. I like to see the stocks that are basically in a 5-year uptrend. They have 5 years of consistently growing earnings and revenue. That is really the most successful trades. Are always where this company never really had a disaster. They never really, major, in the last 5 years. And that's really what it is. So try to trade companies that have been very consistent in earnings and sales growth for the past 5 years. Has always been a winner. It's the number one principle that I would say. Even if you just blindly bought companies that had that, you probably would do better than breaking even.
Right. What would you consider your worst single trade till this day?
Worst single trade. I mean, it has to be some of those penny stocks that I traded in the beginning and I had no idea what I was doing. And I tried to forget those.
But can you learn from them? Are there any lessons in those trades?
Yeah, the lessons are, my advice would be to find a strategy that has proven itself and stick to it. Don't change strategies often. Find something, stick to it. Try to find strategies that work based on historical evidence, and that would be my advice.
So basically, like trading experts say, having that A+ game plan. Absolutely,
yeah. No, for sure. Every trade you must have your game plan. You must know you're out. Always trade with a stop, and always trade with a risk multiple in mind. Know your stop and your profit target. Make sure your profit target is, a multiple of your stop loss, whatever that is, and stick to it. Don't change game plans midway through, and just stick to it and be comfortable to take that loss. Trading in the Zone mentions that. Be mentally prepared to take that loss even before you take the trade, so that when the loss comes, it doesn't affect you, so that you can carry on, taking the setups as they come.
So do you think that someone who's new to trading, do you think that they have to go through that major hit, that major loss in their account to be able to have that mentality that you mentioned, that you have to go into the trade expecting a loss?
Yeah, I think that it depends on the person's level of knowledge. Like you could learn from the mistakes of others, or you could learn the hard way by getting the hit yourself, blowing up your account, or losing so much that you stop trading and then you go back and start learning. I think it has to happen to everyone. Either you had good mentors who set you up with the right reading materials and knowledge beforehand, and then you were safe, or you ended up having a major loss or blowing up your account, and then you ended up learning. I think I kind of got, I got saved a little bit. I didn't blow up my account, but I lost a significant amount of money to the point where I knew I had to stop because I didn't know what I was doing, and really learn and study before getting back into it. And ever since I studied the strategy and, worked with the game plan, I haven't had more than a 4% drawdown since that June 2017 I started. So my losses have been up, and I mentally accepted, those losses before I even take the trade.
Absolutely. So to wrap things up here, so for someone just getting started selling on Amazon, what advice do you have for them?
My advice for you, if you're selling on Amazon, is you should use data to identify the path you proceed forward on and get educated. I would recommend tools and trainings like Viral Launch, Helium 10, and just spend some time on YouTube studying those tools and how to use them, and then use those tools to get the information about which are the hot opportunities. Because on Amazon, you don't just want to start selling anything. You're going to lose money. You need to sell that product which has a high opportunity. And a high opportunity in the form of high sales volume in relation to the number of reviews. So to be successful as a new seller on Amazon, you need to target new products that have just came out. Like if Apple or Google just came out with a new device, it's a new size, or then like maybe there's an iPhone 12. You come out with a case, iPhone 12 case. Nobody else has that.
Right.
Everybody's starting from zero. So focus on stuff like that. Focus on new super hot items that even people who have been on Amazon for a long time don't really have that much advantage over you. So that's what I would recommend if you're just starting out.
And you mentioned some before, but what about for trading? Any advice for any new traders out there?
Yeah, so spend some time researching and learning and really devising your strategy, and be very clear on your game plans and your setups. I would recommend going through the Trading Experts course, and the way that they teach you everything before they let you into alpha is exactly what they need to do. It ensures that you don't mess up. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that. It will save them a lot of money. Either they're gonna pay for it, they're gonna pay for it in their losses if they don't.
And we, as yourself, I'm sure you don't want, you don't wish that on your worst enemy to go through such big losses, to be able to understand that, knowledge come first and patience come first. So, Adam, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out of what I assume is a very busy day for you. I really appreciate it. And I thank you for just giving all this amazing, amazing knowledge to everyone. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So guys, thank you for everyone who tuned in and listened to Adam and I speak about his amazing, amazing journey that he's been on with Amazon and with trading. Don't forget to visit us on Instagram. That's Paradisos Podcast. Check out our website, paradisos.world and on Twitter, Paradisos101. And until next time, God bless you all, my beautiful people. Peace.
Running my race till I'm one of the all-time greats. Skate, running my race till I'm one of the all-time greats. Wait, running my race till I'm one of the all-time